Happy Tuesday, everybody. Time for another Tipsy Tuesday. Going to be giving you a tip today. We're going to be discussing the inspection contingency of offers. This pertains to buyers and sellers because sellers want to be aware of this as well. Because this is the time frame the buyer has the opportunity to conduct their inspections, and then if they choose to do so, exit the contract, retain their deposit, no questions asked. You don't really have to explain your position. You can just say there was something found and you no longer want to be under contract. You no longer want the home, no matter what it is. So with that, inspection period typically goes 7-10 business days. You can have up to 15 according to the Florida as-is contract. It's not something that you typically see at all, so that's where the sellers want to be aware. If your buyer's agent is sending you an offer and that line is blank on page 5 of the contract, which I'll show you here shortly, then you're going to want to make sure that you get that edited and reduced down, because it's a seller's market. So you still get to choose or negotiate the terms of the inspection period. Sometimes the listing agents will put it in the realtor remarks for you, so your agent ought to know that. Sometimes they don't, though. But that inspection period, what it does for you, it gives you time to get your home inspector in there, get you a full home inspection or just a 4-point, or wind mitigation for insurance purposes done. Sometimes your lender may require a termite inspection, even a water testing inspection. And so with those things, you got that time frame to get them done. So it's key that once your contract is accepted, you understand what inspections are needed to be done, and you get those done and scheduled in a timely fashion, because it may take that inspector 1 to 2 days, business days, to get that report back to you, so you can send it over to the listing agent. If there's repairs being requested, they're going to want to see proof of what the issue is. We typically don't send the entire inspection report over to them, but we'll just cut out the repairs you want, send those over, and that way it shows that we did do an inspection. We do have proof there's issues with the home, and we get those presented before we exit that time period. The inspection period can be extended. Sometimes these listing agents are like, hey, I want 5 days. Okay, well, we do it 5 days. Well, then day 3 we get the inspection done. We're still negotiating terms, kind of going back and forth. We can extend that inspection period out until we come to terms on the repairs needed. That is protecting your deposit based on a repair. That is very key. On another episode, I'll talk about the finance contingency, which I've actually waived with clients, but that's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that another day. But the inspection period, it's protecting your deposit. During that time frame, you can walk away from the home. You go do your inspection, your inspector comes back, hands you a report, and you're like, I don't like that the roof had a leak 20 years ago. You can walk away. And you retain your deposit. That is key, because right now deposits are getting higher and higher. You're looking at $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 deposits, even more, depending on the price of the home, that you're possibly going to lose if you don't get that addressed within your inspection time frame. So it's very important to know. So let's go ahead and take a look at the contract paperwork. So as we look here on page 5 of your as-is contract offer, you see I got it highlighted there. That's the blank space for how many days you want your inspection period. If you leave it blank, or your buyer's agent leaves it blank, that's going to leave it up to 15 days to get your inspection done. That's not going to happen in this market. It's still a seller's market, still a very strong seller's market. So those things just aren't going to happen. And so you're going to do a reduced inspection time frame, whether it's 10 days, depending on when your offer is accepted, 7 days, even as short as 5 days. This is just giving you time to get your inspection done, renegotiate any repairs, or get closing costs contributed towards you, so you can redo the repairs once you get your contract closed and you are now the owner of the home. So you want to make sure this is done in that timely frame, and so that way you are protected as well as your deposit is protected. So as you've seen on the contract, you want to make sure that line's filled in. Whether you're the listing agent or the buyer's agent, you want to make sure it's clear what your inspection period is. These things can be key. Again, I don't encourage anybody to waive the inspection. You have no idea what you're going to find. Even though you present an offer waiving your inspection contingency, you can still get the inspection done and discover what's going on, but now you're at risk of losing your deposit over a repair or inspected issue, not a finance issue. As I mentioned earlier, we'll discuss that in another episode, but right now we're still focused on the inspection contingency. So generally speaking, the shorter the better if you're on the listing side, the longer the better if you're on the buying side. But in reality, you're looking at 5 days unless you really have an inspector who's on call, who's good, who can be there in a couple of days. They might end up charging you an increased amount for a rush fee or rush inspection. There's a lot of inspectors out there, so you can call around and try to get those done, but 3 days is really, really, truly pushing it. 5 days is pretty much the minimum I like to go, and that's if our offer is getting accepted on Sunday night or Monday morning, and it gives me Monday through Friday to get that inspection scheduled and done and get the report back to my client and us discuss what's going on with the home, just to make sure they understand what they're buying and if they're going to accept it as is, or we're going to negotiate some repairs or some closing cost in there. So appreciate everybody checking in, staying tuned. This is episode 3. We're going to be going over more and more. I'll probably talk about finance contingency next week just to kind of wrap up this a little bit, and maybe in 2 weeks I will do just the whole as-is contract. Just kind of do a brief overview. I want to kind of go in the depth with some of these things like the inspection and finance contingency, but then we will we'll kind of go over it as a whole so you know what you're looking at when you're signing, initialing, and everything, when you might be signing basically the next 15 to 30 years of your life away with a bill called a mortgage payment when you're buying a home. And also for the sellers out there, so you understand what offers are being presented to you and what to look for on those offers, so you understand completely what kind of offer you're accepting or rejecting. You don't want to pass up a good offer just because of you missed something on the as-is contract. So hope everybody has had a great Labor Day weekend. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. It's a 4-day week for all the 8 to 5ers Monday through Friday, so that should be a highlight. And hopefully everybody's doing good. Talk to you soon.